I think you're the saddest girl I ever met.
You're the first man ever said that. I'm usually told how happy I am.
That's because you make a man feel happy.
Motherfucking goddamn orange peel beef.
All right, everybody. Welcome back. Woo. It's one fucking hour time. That's right. The show where we talk about one goddamn movie, and we have just one fucking hour to do it. I'm Evan Huston, of course. To my left, joining us here as always, we got Miss Rémy Bennett. Rémy, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah. And to our right over here, screen right, we got Mr. Marcus Herring. Marcus, how we doing?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Good.
Great.
Very good.
Fantastic.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
sorry.
my Lord.
My bad.
It's good to see you guys in the digital world again. You know,
I know.
After seeing you in person last week.
It's kind of sad. I'd rather be in person.
I know.
But,
This is better. This is better.
yeah, you're like, let's keep a little distance.
Social distancing. Yeah, I think it's...
We also have a parasocial relationship.
We do. This is it. This is it.
That's true.
Yeah, of course. Sorry for the delay on getting this episode out, everybody. We were in Los Angeles with Marcus for about a week, so that kind of put a little delay on everything. But here we are. We're back. It's episode 161 of the show, which means we're doing a film from 1961. And tonight's film, of course, we're doing this, year-long exercise here, doing one film per year, per episode, marathon here. So we're at 61, and what we've picked for tonight's show, very excited about it, big local fave here, is John Huston's The Misfits. So that's what we're talking about. Marcus, not that Misfits. Sorry.
I think it is actually, but we'll talk about that.
Is it?
I think it. We'll talk.
Okay, we'll talk. Okay, so that's what we're getting into tonight. Very excited about that. This whole series has been a blast. I'm very excited about it. We've been mixing it up where we're picking some of the films ourselves, doing some of our non-negotiables. Tonight is a little bit of a Rémy non-negotiable, even though last week was also a Rémy non-negotiable.
I apologize.
Yes, but we are getting back to the polls because, of course, we love polls.
I love polls.
And that means stay tuned to the end of this episode. After the clock, after we've talked about the movie, we're going to give you the poll options that you guys can vote on. And we have a new way to do the poll, which I'm very excited about. So all the Instagram haters will get a chance to vote. But we're going to give you all the options for what you can vote on for what we're going to cover for 1962. So stay tuned for that. But before we get into the main event here, we want to give a quick shout out to the one fucking hour Patreon. Of course, it is patreon.com/onefuckinghour is where you can sign up for just $5 a month, and it gives you instant access to all of our bonus episodes, audio commentary tracks, and 24-hour plus early access to every single episode of the show. You get to watch them, listen to them before everybody else does, which is very exciting. But if you want to keep all your bonus content on YouTube, you can also sign up there. Scroll underneath this video, find the join button, click that, and become a Momin of the YouTube channel. Same price, same benefits, same perks. But we appreciate the support nonetheless. And of course, 100% of the proceeds from both the Patreon and the YouTube go directly to our one fucking hour brother, Tom Fitzgerald, who is in recovery right now. And so we're collecting 100% of the funds from that will go directly to him. There's a lot of costs associated with his recovery. So we appreciate you, everybody who signed up thus far. It's a huge, huge, huge help. And of course, on that note, I do want to give just a quick little shout out and a slight update as well. We've talked about this a little bit, of course, respecting privacies and so on and so forth. But, Tom is in the thick of recovery and does have a very long way to go. This is not a, a minor situation. This is a very serious situation. So, all the support that, we've received, and even if it's just not monetary, if it's emotional support has gone a long way, or any of the nice messages or comments you guys have left have not gone unread, unnoticed. So we appreciate that as well. But I do want to give a shout out to our listener, one of our listeners, Liz. Shout out, Liz. Reached out to me privately and wrote a beautiful hand-drawn Limp Bizkit themed Get Well card for Tom, which was amazing.
So
and we were able to visit Tom just last week, and we were able to show him that, and he loved it. He
loved it.
He loved it. He thought it was the coolest.
Amazing.
We all loved it, actually.
We did.
Especially Tom.
Yes,
So cool.
of course. It was very touching, and we really appreciate that, Liz. Thank you so much for being so thoughtful. And that kind of inspired me. I don't know why I didn't think about this in the first place, but I want to sort of open, I actually want to do a sort of call to action here in the One Fucking Hour community, where if you're willing and able and, something that you want to do, if you'd like to send a get well card or just a get well message or some sort of physical mail to Tom, I'm going to collect it on my end here. And then, of course, we'll get all that over to him the next time we go to visit California. So if you'd like to write to Tom, if you'd like to send him a message, which I think would go a long way if you're able to do so.
Yeah.
And we'd like to show, the support that y'all are thinking about him. I'm going to give you the address right now on the screen. So you can write to me, Evan Husney, at 697 Grand Street, Box 166, Brooklyn, New York, 11211. Again, that's 697 Grand Street, Box 166, Brooklyn, New York, 11211. And we will get your goodies, your Goodwill cards, your messages over to Big T straight, basically as soon as we can. So thank you guys so much. Liz, thank you. That was amazing. So we want to see more of that.
Liz.
More of that would be fantastic from y'all. We really appreciate that. So, okay. I think were you guys ready for the clock? Should we maybe possibly
start the clock?
I think so.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Where is it? God damn it. Okay, here it is. Everybody strap in. We're doing the Misfits.
Whew.
Here we go. We're doing the Misfits. All right. And okay, there we go. All right, little synopsis action on the Misfits. Of course, here we go. The Misfits from 1961, directed by John Huston, follows a recently divorced woman, Rosalind Tabor, of course, played by Marilyn Monroe. Who else? Who forms an unlikely bond with a group of aging, disillusioned cowboys in the Nevada desert. As they struggle to find purpose in a changing modern world, the men cling to outdated ideals of freedom and masculinity. Rosalind becomes increasingly troubled by their plan to capture wild Mustangs for profit, seeing it as a symbol of their own lost humanity. Tensions rise as their emotional vulnerabilities surface, especially in the charismatic but broken Gay Langland, that's his name, of course, played by Clark Gable. The film ultimately explores themes of loneliness, moral conflict, and the fading myth of the American West. So there you go. I think that's pretty damn good.
That's a good one.
I think
Sums it
so
up.
too. So there's the Misfits, of course, self-described, I think by Arthur Miller, who of course wrote the source material that this movie is based on as sort of an anti-Western. This is the idea of this film. And as we're going to get into, it's a very literary film. It feels like, Marcus, you said before we started recording, it felt like
New Yorker short story, just like in the construction of it,
Totally.
and how everything kind of comes together in this huge symbolic moment that's sort of depressing and sad at the end, and
and
the
allegorical.
themes start to kind of come together and make
Yes.
sense suddenly.
Yeah.
Totally. It's-
And we were saying too, like the language itself, because it's Arthur Miller, it's similar to like a Death of a Salesman, or like it's very symbolic and poetic, and there's a lot under the surface in the language itself. So it's interesting to kind of look at the film also as like a piece of literature in a way.
100%. And so we're definitely going to get into that as we go through the flick. But one of the other things that we're going to touch on is it's hard to ignore that this film has so many meta-textual layers to all the characters in the film. It's almost impossible to separate the characters in this film from the actors that portray them, as their lives and some of their demises in real life sort of mirror that of the characters in the film. You mentioned Arthur Miller. Of course, he sort of wrote this as a vehicle for Marilyn Monroe. But of course, their relationship, she would divorce him as soon as, this film was completed. Clark Gable died 12 days after the filming concluded of this movie. Montgomery Clift, of course, who's amazing in this film. We're going to get to him. But he also, I think, cryptically died. I think his last words I read was somebody asked him if he wanted to watch the Misfits on television. He said, absolutely not. And that was his last words on
And I believe
Earth.
he was found dead in a hotel room in New York.
Or something like that,
And then it's so sad. But Marilyn also obviously died a year after the movie came out.
That's right.
Overdose, of course.
So it's a cursed film. Sorry, Marcus.
Yeah. Well, it's just interesting too that the film actually, not only can you make all those comparisons with them, but the film invites those comparisons with the with the characters too, which we'll get into, but it makes direct allusions to the actors' real lives.
And that's why the movie, to me, this is why this is on my top 10 list, has always been one of my favorite movies of all time. It's, to me, it's not a movie. It's more than a movie. It's almost like this weird, living, breathing, bizarre
cultural artifact.
It's haunting. That's been said about it a few times in different articles, but it really has this haunting quality where the movie is almost moving and speaking to you, and people are kind of talking to in symbolism, kind of from beyond the grave.
Yes.
And John Huston too, the fact that you have these incredible, epic, talented, mythic, legendary figures of the classic Hollywood star era, right?
Yep.
All coming together. This is also 1961, so it's right at the tail end of that whole world of Hollywood.
There's that parallel, obviously, between the dying American West and the dying old Hollywood is kind of in perfect relay.
And to have all these people together, in a way, these incredible legends together for the last time in this bizarre set in the desert in Nevada, and just what that kind of alchemy and that strange magic, what that created will never ever be created again on screen. It's it's lightning in a bottle.
It does feel like someone's closing the door on another era of filmmaking.
And it's so melancholy. The whole experience is just sad. And
everyone's drunk, wasted, broken, sad, pathetic, humiliated.
And those the lost soul nature of it, it's all coming across from their palpable, real human selves, And so it's a beautiful human experience, I think, to watch the movie. It transcends a normal film in a certain way. So
sure.
Well put. Yeah.
Let me get this dumb anecdote out of the way real quick. I first saw this movie as a teenager. Probably other people had this experience where you're into punk rock or whatever, and the Clash mentioned this song, this movie in The Right Profile, which is about Montgomery Clift.
Yes,
and then you hear about, and then you're into the Misfits or whatever, the band, and you realize that every Misfits song is either about a theoretical B movie or an actual B movie. So you start going down the list, and you're like, I'm going to check out the movie that the band is named after,
right?
And you rent this and put it on, and you're like,
"What
this
the?
is not what I was expecting."
Yeah. No, and of course, Marilyn just being this larger than life cultural icon too. It's her last movie. There's a morbid quality with that too. I could see how that could be appealing to that crowd.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
They have a song about her, right?
Yeah,
right.
they do.
Yeah.
But it's not even your typical Marilyn Monroe film. It's she's not wisecracking.
No.
There's only a couple glances at her body throughout,
and they're weird ones too, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
And its focus is so much on her sadness. I mean, of course, we'll get into this majorly later, but the other films, you were saying, so much of her comedian, talent as a comedian and her timing and her kind of all of that stuff had been highlighting. So, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes and
Some Like It Hot.
all of it. Yep. But and this is the first time we're exploring this the deep sadness of Marilyn,
Yeah.
which really was the true Marilyn in many
Right.
ways.
Right.
So it's like for that's lifting the veil on the caricature
Totally.
that we've seen.
And it's there's a quote by Jonas Mekas, of course, from
Yeah.
filmmaker and Anthology Film Archives man himself. He had a quote that said, in his review of the film, he said, "Did Miller and Huston create a character, or simply did they recreate Marilyn Monroe?"
Yeah.
Which I think is.
And he
so
calls her
fascinating.
Saint Marilyn in that. It was for the Village Voice. He wrote this really beautiful review about her and called her like Saint Marilyn.
Wow.
And like she will always haunt us. She's the one amidst all this like toughness and masculinity who knew like the truth of like real beauty and who like had ideals even after being betrayed by men all her life, was still holding on to this idea of like love and beauty and
Right.
idealism. And so she is like this incredible,
Yeah.
almost like symbol of all this that is like pure, but also that's been damaged, but it's like this really sad kind of like paradox.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a little wait, can we just go?
I know where you want to go. Let me bring you there, sister. Okay, so
Not to jump
No,
on.
it's all good. It's all good. We're already sweating the clock. But yeah, so before we get into the movie itself, because I do want to get into the movie, let's talk just a little bit about Arthur Miller, because he's obviously one of the big dogs involved in this movie. And yeah, this is based on his work. So Rémy, you want to give us a little bit?
This was exactly what I was going to say.
I know. See, I know.
The little bit of the backstory about like the origin of the writing.
Mm-hmm.
So Arthur Miller went to Reno when he was divorcing his wife because he wanted to marry Marilyn. And at that time, like I think it's
Crazy.
important, which is so insane.
Because that's also that's how this movie opens, is the scene exactly like that. Yeah.
And, of course, like Marilyn at this point had gone to New York and she was studying at the Actors Studio in Lee Strasberg. And so she had become really part of that whole sort of like acting intellectual scene.
Right.
And then they became friends and, the rest is history. But,
Right.
So he goes to Reno at that time in the 50s. Reno was the divorce capital of the U.S. It had the slackest, rules and regulations for getting divorces.
Great setting for a story, I have to say.
And I think, just like kind of culturally, that could be its own movie in itself. It's super fascinating. Actually, my mom's mom drove her 5 kids out to Reno in the 50s to get a divorce. So my mom actually lived in Reno for a bit while they got a divorce. So anyway.
Amazing.
But so Arthur Miller's there in Reno. He ends up meeting a bunch of cowboys, a bunch of these guys, befriends them, and they're going out to get the what's it called?
The Mustanging.
They're going Mustanging. What's that word? Not rallying.
Corralling?
Corralling. I don't know. Yeah, catching.
Hog tying? Torturing? Mutilating?
Yeah. And so he basically became fascinated. Of course, this is completely foreign to him.
Wrestling?
And
Right.
What is the...
I'm sure one of our farmer listeners will let us know.
No, fuck.
Yeah,
what's
sorry,
the
I
name?
still think cattle wrestling.
So anyway, he ends up writing a short story called "The Mustangs" in 1957 for Esquire magazine.
There we go.
And then him and Marilyn are together. She ends up miscarrying. And of course, like Marilyn's dream, her biggest dream was always to have a baby. A lot of her like depression and mental health issues were coming from the fact that she was having a lot of like sort of problems, like a lot of pain, like menstrual pain issues, like all that stuff. Like she suffered from like chronic pain. And the fact that she wasn't able to give birth was like one of the major things impacting her mental health at the time, leading her to be taking sleeping pills and all of that stuff. And so to cheer her up, Arthur Miller decided to adapt the Mustangs.
To cheer her up.
And to write this, what he called, this is the...
Let's show it. Look at that. So
Which is super cool.
What are we looking at there? That is
So this is a first edition of the Misfits by Arthur Miller, which was a gift for me from Evan.
Oh, well, you didn't have to say that.
And it's actually signed by John Huston and Arthur Miller.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is really fucking cool. But basically what's so interesting is this, it says, this is a new form of a new medium, what Arthur Miller calls a cinema novel. The Misfits is neither a novel, a play, nor a screenplay. It utilizes the perspective of film with its immediacy of image, but adds the reflective dimension of the written word. So it's interesting because it's written like a novel, but this is the screenplay. So I think that's when, and I actually just reread this today to refresh myself, but what's interesting is this really reflects the way the film comes across, because it's a film, but in so many ways it has that like strange poetic lyrical quality that like
as
a play or a novel. I
remember as we were rewatching the film again earlier today, I was kind of glancing. You were following along with the book.
Yeah, it's exact.
I was glancing over, and the dialogue is exact. As what's on screen. So
because a lot of times when you miss that with an adaptation, like you don't get the weird inner monologue poetry.
Sure.
Stuff.
Yeah.
And just the construction too, like, because like movies usually have this, like, you know, whatever, they have most movies have a very, you know, basic kind of construction. It happens in the first 10 minutes.
Right.
This doesn't have that at all. You know, like it's it mirrors like what the sort of the theme, one of the main themes of the story is, like, you know, that maybe all there is the next thing, because they're like, that's what happens in this.
That's so true.
Yeah, this movie, it's like they're doing this, then they do that, then they do this, then they do that, and then that's the end. You know, and so it kind of mirrors that construction, which is more like how a short story unfolds too,
or a novella.
Like,
it's so true, and also the way, like, in a play, like Streetcar Named Desire or any of the Arthur Miller plays, like it's thematic. So it's like you were saying, like whatever that theme may be, you're seeing the theme throughout, and that's what we're following as opposed to the linear
the structure. Right. Totally.
It's how we see the theme kind of like emerge throughout.
Sure.
And I think that probably leads us to the scene.
Let's do it.
Where Marilyn is just got the divorce.
So the movie opens up opening up in Reno. You also have shout out tell me her name again. Thelma Ritter. Right. This is our second Thelma Ritter, because the shout out in the archives we covered Pick Up on South Street for 1953. But Thelma Ritter's here, of course, you know, doing her sort of, you know, usual shtick, and she's, you know, super charismatic and amazing in this film as well. And she's taken in Marilyn Monroe's character, Rosalind. She's there to get a divorce. And she's getting a divorce. I also love that, you know, it's from what's his name? RJ from UHF, of course. She's getting a divorce from
That's so weird.
or the guy from Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh yeah.
But it's amazing, just one shot cameo in this film.
Yeah.
But she's there to get the divorce, and of course, as soon as she does and it's finalized, she goes to this I guess kind of casino cafe, which is called Harrah's, and she walks
I've been
in.
there too. I love it.
You've been there?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Wow, cool.
I believe I went there. Yeah. Anyway,
I don't know a lot of Reno stuff.
It's
I've
so
been to
weird.
Reno.
It's awesome.
It is strange.
It's incredible and bizarre.
From what I hear,
had some wild times there.
Really?
Yeah, it's cool.
Okay.
It's cool because it's like the scuzzy. It's super scuzzy in a wonderful way, with like the rundown motels and the casinos that are unkept and all
That's
that stuff.
awesome.
It's very like transitional and kind of for like the people who are wanderers, kind of. Like,
And like Thelma Ritter's character is someone who also kind of wound up, you know, getting a divorce there in Reno, and she kind of stayed in the area. She stays there, and she's kind of, you know, restarted her life there.
Because Reno is a place, like, it's weird. Of course, that's
yeah.
obvious. But like, I'm thinking a friend of mine actually did this piece, like a interesting kind of poetic magazine piece of like people that were living in motels and hotels in Reno.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. It can be somewhere a lot of people who are drifting or listless. They stay there.
Yeah.
And they live in this kind of bizarre sort of
world.
Life.
Right.
World. Yeah.
Right. I agree, but then I also had this like sort of vision that's like the Arthur Miller, like New York playwright going out to live in Nevada for like 2 weeks and sort of projecting that onto the people that live there in a way.
But I think Reno does have that
kind of way. Or something. No, I agree with you, but I was sort of just tripping on that idea that like
I'm sure he still loved
like,
it.
All these people are just drifting through. They don't know where they are in life.
But they literally, because of the divorce laws in the 50s, like women would relocate there, and then you would have had to register and live there.
And you might
for
find
like,
a
let's
single
say
man.
It was like,
you might
you
find
live there for like a month and then you could get your divorce. So you had like tons of people from across the country.
Yeah.
And cowboying is kind of a drifter type profession.
Yeah. So it's a strange, that's especially in the late 50s, it was this very weird transitory where you'd have like these housewives from New Jersey or where like living for a month or two in Reno just to
and
get
you kind of start over. Nobody knows who you are. And like, that's kind of interesting with like Thelma's character, like, you know, connecting with Rosalind. So anyway, they go to Harrah's, Rosalind and Thelma, and I can't remember. I think her name is Isabella in this film, or Isabella or something like that.
Yeah.
They go to Harrah's, and this is where, she's met. It's so weird that his name in this film is Guido, but his name. His name is Guido.
It's not Guido.
It's not Guido. It's Guido.
Okay.
Yes. Of course, played by Eli Wallach. Is Guido. He sort of helped her, you know, because her car was broken down and drove her to the court earlier that day. But Rosalind really gets to connect and gets to know Guido, of course, and his friend Gay, who is played by Clark Gable. And so immediately off the bat, she's drawn to Gay's dog. And, she's an animal lover. She's into that. And then now they start talking, and that, obviously she's, very captivating, and, she, in terms of her striking qualities, and then this is where
they're also picking up, like what they do is they kind of pick up these women,
right?
Because there's all this influx of these women who are recently divorced. Like part of like, and Thelma Ritter kind of refers to it like, oh, he's one of those Reno men. Be careful, like,
and that's what Gay's. That's what we saw him do in the scene prior, where he's like basically. One of his last flings, he kind of puts her on a train and sends her away, and so you kind of get this impression that this is what this guy does.
He's kind of discarding her, and she's looking like forlorn, like she had this romantic experience with this cowboy, and he's like, "Oh, see you later, lady,"
right. But there's something different about Rosalind, right? Not only is she, Marilyn Monroe is beautiful and all this stuff, but like there's immediately something different about her. And this is when we're kind of introduced to the fact that, Gay is a cowboy, and he's much more into that lifestyle of kind of living on his own and living off the land and being free. And it's better than working wage. It's better than wages.
Better than wages.
We keep hearing this term of like, it's better than the wages.
It may be, but it's better than wages.
And that's like one of those themes that's going to like keep on repeating throughout. Like, what is this, like the code of the liberating potential of like the cowboy code, like living off the land.
Like you don't want to be a slave to some job that you have to, bust ass for.
Arthur Miller pointed out that, like the whatever the money that they get for the job in this film is so small,
Yes.
But he said that he would hear that around, Nevada, people saying like, oh, it was better than a wage because you could quit. You could just go to bed whenever you wanted. You could stop.
Right. Yeah.
That's what's the money's not better.
It's just a tethering to
the freedom
to what you need to your life and your job and what you're going to be a slave to. But so Gay invites her out to the country and talking about how you need to explore the country outside of Reno. And like what do you do there? Well, all you do is you just live,
Well, what do you do with yourself?
Just live.
Yeah.
And so
like you wake up, you make some eggs, you go outside, whatever. Like that, those lines are so interesting though, because it's like, that is sort of the idea. Like there's no one on your back. There's no boss telling you what to do. We're not working for the man.
Yeah.
Like this is just about like masculine freedom and independence and like rugged individualism.
It's a very idealized sort of pitch for what it really is like. Cause it's very, as we'll see, gets a little unglamorous, violent, and nightmarish.
Yeah.
But her,
these are the kind of myths of like the American man, kind of.
But for her, it's very alluring because we learn she's come from Chicago. She was what was she? She was a burlesque dancer.
A dancer at a nightclub, but I think there's an implication that there was some like maybe strip teasing happening, kind of thing.
So like the idea to get away from all that, to live a more simple sort of country life sounds very interesting. So then they decide to go out to the country together with Gay and Guido. God, these two guys.
Gay and Guido.
That's also a part that feels very novella in a way. It's like that you would just choose to go out in the country with two kind of like redneck guys that you just met.
Sure.
Yeah.
But her performance is odd in this film. Rémy, you remarked while we were watching it, was that, she almost feels like she's in a trance of some kind. I don't know if that's
definitely,
if that's the way she intended to play it, or if there's a little, of, her real life, sort of peeking through in that moment. But, and also the way her line deliveries it's very breathy.
It's very dreamy.
Right.
Like it's almost like this dreamy, otherworldly quality. Like
I can't make up my mind. I don't know yet what to do.
she's almost like an apparition. Like she is like this weird angel, and like they keep on, and that's also Marilyn. Like she was this fantasy, this goddess that like men would project their images onto her.
Right on. Yeah.
And then part of that exterior was almost a way of her maintaining this like safety, like of her vulnerability, But like in this movie, she is almost this strange, it's like a transcendent kind of creature.
Yeah, and even that's a good segue to while they're driving to this house out in the country. Of course, you have. I think it's like one of the guys remarks to the other, like 1 minute she's like a kid, and another she's like, baby.
1 minute she looks kind of dumb, and the next minute,
She's real prime.
She's prime,
She's
or
prime.
something. She's a little.
You were gonna give me that cherry pie, sweet mama baby.
It's like really gross because they keep on referring to
As
her
meat.
like she's meat. Like, so it's like the horses, the
Yep.
meat, like the prime. And then like this kind of infantilizing thing that people always did with Marilyn, like where she had this quality of being this like innocent little baby, an innocent little child.
Yeah.
That you could that's like sort of the male fantasy of like
Totally.
projecting that, But then at the same time, she has this like very weird, deep sadness and wisdom. So it's like
She does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we get to Guido's unfinished house, which also feels very novelistic.
Very playwright.
And totally. And that's obviously a metaphor for what's going on inside of this man, this shell of this man.
None of them really have a home.
None of them have a home.
No. And we'll get to that in a second because there's a part that I'm kind of a little confused by coming down the line here. But as we get to the house, we learn that, yes, it's unfinished. Guido's wife died here. This is a reflection of his sadness. I guess the story that he gives is she was due to have a baby, and he was working on the roof, and she just screamed out. And he had a flat tire, and so he couldn't take her to the hospital, and so she just died here. Which is also kind of like, I don't know, maybe one of the reasons you don't want to live out in the fucking sticks, the dark side of the sticks, in sort of a way. And then I guess it's sort of also, poetic in a sense that he probably stopped working on the house, after she passed away, and has kind of left things in the same place that they were. So he's kind of still stuck in
I
that
see that
trauma.
the half-constructed house is like just a symbol for like the things, the promises of life that they were all denied.
Oh, yeah,
beautiful. Totally.
Yes. And they all sort of share that house, and they attempt to do things like trim the garden and fix the house up.
Yeah.
But they're all, they all fail at it.
It's all like the broken dreams.
Totally. And of
promises.
course, later on in the film, when you see Guido and he's like blackout drunk trying to hammer like 2x4s into the house. Yeah. I mean, that's obviously, metaphorical as well.
And then it's also that thing back to like the 50s going to the 60s, like the promise of the beautiful, perfect nuclear family.
Yep.
And then by the 60s, there's like the divorces start happening, the families start falling apart, kids start running away from home.
Yep.
And so it is kind of that vision or that dream, that sort of crumbling of America.
Totally.
And then you're kind of left with like kind of like the brokenness.
But what we see about Marilyn in this scene, or about Rosalind in this scene, is that, immediately she's, and this is kind of a running sort of motif, is she's very empathetic, obviously, to everything around her. And so immediately she's going to be drawn to each of the men in this film individually at different times in the story. But she's first drawn to Guido because I think she empathizes with him, sympathizes with him about the loss of his wife. And so they start, kind of getting a little closer, and then they start dancing.
Well, but I feel like he really is the one who instigates that shit.
Right.
I feel like she's empathetic, she's listening.
But he takes that, he takes that and,
yes. But I think that's also another reoccurring theme with Rosalind and Marilyn. Like, because she has this like beautiful, intoxicating quality where she's very empathetic, and she almost puts the men under a spell. Right. And then when they get that attention, they want to grab it. They want to like take it. And so he almost gets weird and a little bit aggressive with her, and he's like, let's dance. And and like the dance is almost aggressive, and it's like he kind of wants to like possess her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he's immediately kind of throwing the dead wife under the bus too, about like she died, and or she says she died and didn't know how you could dance. And
but can I read this little part?
Yeah, go ahead.
She says, I just meant that if you loved your wife, you could have taught her anything. Because we have to die. We're really dying right now, aren't we? All the husbands and all the wives are dying every minute, and they're not teaching one another what they really know. And so, because he gets mad because she says, like, why didn't you teach your wife to dance? Like, because he was like, oh, she didn't have any grace, she couldn't dance, and she just genuinely is like, why didn't you teach her? And then of course that makes him mad because she's kind of being extremely honest. Like, she almost has a strange, like, radical, like, honesty throughout the movie where, like, she says these things, but because of, like, her beauty, like, and seductiveness, it kind of takes them off guard.
Yeah.
Like, he's almost able to slip in these little truths.
Well, doesn't he say something about how she wasn't graceful or something?
Yeah.
That's what he says about it. That's what I meant by kind of chucks under the bus in that moment.
No, totally.
Yeah.
But so like those little moments of like, even that kind of like lyrical language about like, we're all dying. Aren't we all dying? Like, it's sort of like her urgency to say like, why can't we get to the truth? Like, forget all this bullshit. Like, why are we why do we waste our time lying to each other or pretending we're someone we're not? Like, let's just be, let's connect and be real. And she's very humanistic. Like, her pursuit is like this deep human connection.
That is what she's after.
Well, and usually in these stories, we see like the people out in the sticks that sort of have the wisdom, like because they're living off the earth, they're in touch with nature, and stuff. Yeah, she's from the big city, and she's got and she's coming with the it's kind of the reverse.
It is.
Yeah, that's
totally
funny.
So, then we see a scene, guys. Get ready, because it definitely does. Obviously they're drinking. They drink a lot of whiskey, a bottle of whiskey. Everyone's a little sauced. But, this definitely reminded me of a little Twin Peaks action.
Oh.
I didn't see this coming.
David Lynch?
Definitely, of course, the Jar of David, everybody. Everybody knows the Jar of David. If you bring up David Lynch's name, you got to put a coin in the jar. But no, it definitely like sort of evoked that Laura Palmer sort of vibe, with Marilyn in that scene where they wander outside and it just starts to really feel like really dreamlike. In a way where she's kind of dancing with herself, and then she goes
it's
to
like
hug
the video, right? Yeah,
like
like
the video
of Laura.
Totally.
Yeah,
you could put that Twin Peaks music to it, and it'd fit perfectly.
Or even in like when Laura in Fire Walk with Me, when they're with like Jack Reno, and she's like dancing with like the black jacket on, before like Maura Kelly kind of jives with her. I feel like there's a lot of dancing alone in strange trances.
Yeah.
But Laura Palmer is Marilyn Monroe, Laura Palmer was based on Marilyn Monroe.
Of course.
So
of course.
Yeah, I mean, she's got that breathy voice too. Like,
she does.
She's got this sort of baby voice.
Yeah. I mean, the whole concept of Laura came from the fact that David Lynch was adapting that book Goddess.
That's right.
So the whole idea was like
that's another coin, I think.
The beautiful. She was sexually abused as a child, beautiful, irresistible, but deeply sad and damaged, and kind of the attraction to that and the repulsion.
Right.
Like the whole Laura conceit is like the Marilyn.
Totally.
The tragedy of Marilyn.
The tragedy. Of course.
Like,
there we go. We got it out of the way.
Oh, but also Wild at Heart. I feel like there's a little Wild at Heart. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like when they're driving in the desert and it's like there's I don't know, there's some weird vibes out there.
Totally.
Yeah.
So, okay. That scene, amazing, dreamy, just kind of that's a scene that gets you to stand at the edge of your seat there. I feel like it's just a really just amazing sequence there.
And her holding the tree.
And she's hugging the tree, and they're all kind of watching her, transfixed, and but she's pretty drunk, and so Gay drives her and stares at her, as she's passed out in the passenger seat. And, then he starts to talk to her and she comes to and says, you're a beautiful woman. It's almost an honor sitting next to you, and then he goes to say that you're the saddest girl I've ever seen.
What makes you so sad? I think you're the saddest girl I ever met.
And that whole thing. And talks about how, you make men happy and these things. But what's interesting is that, where is he driving her? Because it's another sort of nightmare dream kind of logic thing where he just drives her back to Guido's house.
Yeah. It is really confusing what the arrangement between them is, because she's like, I don't think he leans over to kiss her, right? Mm-hmm. And she's like, I don't think about you that way.
Yeah. And then he's like, well, baby, maybe you will eventually. Don't give up.
Yeah, you'll learn to like it.
Oh, Ramey's got a mouse on her.
You got a little mouse on her.
How long was that there?
But,
a little while.
I think it just popped up. But Clark is so good in this, by the way. Like, it can smell his alcohol breath.
Oh, yeah.
I've met so many of those guys. Yeah. And they are often
Pickled.
Very charming. Yeah. Pickled.
Well, you probably know from Texas, too. I'm sure there's you met some cowboys down there.
Oh, God. We'll definitely get to his greatest moment here coming up shortly.
But yeah, it gets very confusing, because they are she's basically kind of rejects him, but he's like, you should give it a try, maybe, and
yeah.
He's like, I'm from out here in the middle of nowhere.
That's what I'm saying. He asks her, well, where do you live? And she goes, I live here, baby. And it's like, here's the vista of just out here.
That's the part that reminded me of Lost. I'm sorry.
Oh, just smash cut to 6 months later, and they're living in that house growing vegetables and stuff. It's like,
well, it's crazy that he doesn't have a home.
No, that's like the punchline. He's like, I live here.
Yeah,
okay,
he looks
well,
at
you
it,
want to go where I live? Well, I live at Guido's,
But it is very creepy when he says that, and she looks out, and there is some ominous music, and so it's like there is the dark. I mean, right away there's the dark side of this whole.
Totally. Well, how about this? How about this? And then, so once we do flash forward to them living together, in the vegetable garden and everything, there's a scene of them riding horses, and it's just this creepy shot of her butt bouncing on the horse that we see in this very, beyond overt sexual sort of visual. And it's his reaction, like hubba hubba,
hubba.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, that's just crazy. Because again, it's like, the layers of what's going on.
But it's like I feel like with Marilyn too, all of these men in her life were vampires. They're
predatory,
vampires because it is they're sucking this life force from her, whatever that beautiful light was that she was emanating, and that sexuality. Yeah, it was men just wanted to take it, and so that's also why I think she was always so depleted. And when in the car, what's his fucking name? Gay says you're the saddest girl in the world. And she says, no one's ever said that. But he was like, that's because you make them feel happy. And I know you mentioned that, Evan, but I think that's so important because that's her gift. Yeah. That's Marilyn's gift, and that's a character's gift.
It's almost like her fault, in a way.
It's not that she's happy. It's she gives them this feeling.
Happiness,
of security and love and warmth and belonging.
Yeah. It feels good to talk to people that are that beautiful. I know an actress, she's one of the prettiest actresses, and whenever you talk to her, you just feel really a lot, I remember one of my friends was like, she likes me or she's into me or whatever. I was like, no, dude, you're just sort of seeing yourself reflected in your eyes because she's so pretty, and the fact that she's giving you any attention makes your heart jump, and you're interpreting that as if she likes you or whatever.
And I think it's even more than that. I think with her, there was something else. It was because anyone could be attractive, right? There was this other openness. She has this really wild childlike openness where
and she was smart. She was super smart, and she was super interesting.
Yeah, and she's connecting. She's giving you this connection.
Right.
And even that childlike thing when she's in the water and she's playing, she is kind of like a little kid. And I think there's something that gives this feeling of effervescent, sort of abandon that most people don't get to feel.
Right.
So they're almost making her you feel elated, and so but she's not really feeling that. She's giving that energy. She's giving that lightness.
Right. Yeah, and we see that she doesn't really seem to say. Yeah, she doesn't ever express that she likes him before they are living together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's very. It does feel very imposed upon her.
But there is some sort of
at first.
But just getting back to where I was, it's there kind of is some Twilight Zone quality to, like, I'm going to take you home, but then I'm taking you right back to where you were.
To my friend's unfinished house.
And
like,
it's strange. And I
Yeah.
do want to say, because you could almost have a separate jar for this movie you could talk about that's very similar to this film, which is a film we've covered in the archives. It's in the archives. Wake and Fright is this is like the female Wake and Fright in a way.
Yeah, there's definitely some elements there.
Totally, where you can't escape. It's the long weekend.
The kangaroos.
Back to the kangaroos
Killing
and the
kangaroos,
horses.
the drinking.
Totally, there's a lot of
and the whole like rugged masculinity thing, and sort of how that violence and energy is scary and destructive, and why men like need that like sense of violence and power. And you know, and like for the woman character, like she's like, we don't need it. We don't need it.
Like, and it's a great double bill. That'd be a pretty crazy double bill, but you could do it, I suppose.
And because they are all drinking constantly.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they are constantly from minute one, like right after she gets the divorce. They're drinking whiskey. They're all high, as he calls it in the book. Like, so it's like, you know, they're escaping.
We got to keep it moving though.
Okay, let's
go. Okay, so so then we see that going to kill the rabbit. Okay, so he wants to kill a rabbit that's disturbing his vegetable garden, and this is kind of them getting into this first fight about where you know, she's not cool with that, and there's no reason to do that. And this is kind of where we see some early tension between them over this issue, which of course plays all throughout the film. But then Guido and Isabel show up, Thelma Ritter, and time has passed.
Also weird that they're together and show up.
True.
Like,
little subtext.
Yeah, what?
True. And they show them around the house and how she's kind of, you know, decorated the house, and she's kind of brought the house to life a little bit. But here's another one of those meta elements to the film, which I think, Marcus, you alluded to earlier, which is as Rosalind is showing Guido around, you see that she shows that like behind a door is all these pasted up Marilyn Monroe pinups that are there.
It's interesting.
Very
well, and it's like a very obvious nod, like saying, hey, we're not pretending that this is not also Marilyn's story in a weird way.
Yep. And then they cheers on her life going on forever, and it's this very ominous, there's a very ominous quality to everything that's happening in this scene.
The film also has like a real sense of doom,
dread.
And because we know what's going to happen to them in real life, like it mirrors that kind of doom.
It does.
Right.
So let's get to this big scene here. I know you want to talk about. So they talk about going to see a rodeo. That she's never been to a rodeo. Obviously, that's a big part of the out in the desert West. And so this is the scene where we meet Perce, of course, played by
favorite.
Montgomery Clift, and he's on fire here. He basically meets her kind of. Really, almost immediately, he's kind of taken aback by her.
They have like this affinity,
instant
though.
Connection, yeah.
And like, I think the producers said that like Marilyn and Montgomery Clift they were psychic twins. Like they had this really intense soulmate connection. Like they both were broken. They both related to their brokenness. They had this like intense love for each other. So their chemistry, is insane. I love, and I know I went on about Marlon Brando before, but this character is my
cherry pie, sweet mama baby.
This character is the most gorgeous, beautiful, like incredible ever.
He's your favorite method guy.
He's my favorite character, I think, ever.
Perce?
Like he's so beautiful and like heartbreaking.
Yeah, no, he is.
This is post-accident Montgomery Clift.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Well, we're going to talk about
it's showing on his face.
Which totally. I love how he looks like broken.
Okay, well, shout out to, of course, in the archives for 1951, we did A Place in the Sun, where you can see the old Montgomery face, and you can compare contrast between this face. But basically, we get a little more meta action here because we see Perce's great and just more incredible method acting as he's there on the phone with his mother talking. And I guess that's a one and done take that he did.
One take, yeah.
John Huston was floored by this.
All were like,
his naturalistic performance is insane. But he basically says to her, the lines are, "Hey, Ma, my face is all healed up.
Yeah.
It's just as good as new. You too would even recognize me."
No, my face is fine. It's all healed up. Just as good as new. You would too recognize me.
And so that's, of course, I mean, how could you not make the comparison between, he got his face royally fucked up from a real car accident Montgomery Clift got into shortly before this, and so had to get a lot
and
of
then he also fell off a
trippy.
horse like right before shooting.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that bandage on his nose is real because he
Right.
fell off a horse. So he's literally playing himself. Yeah.
Yes, and he also makes the reference again. The motif comes up about anything is better than wages. He talks to his mom when she's probably scolding him about doing more bull riding stuff.
Bull riding. Yeah, but pretty good rodeo. $100.
But yeah, he's kind of immediately on screen. You read him as sort of a more youthful, sensitive figure, maybe less masculine. But he's got that failed and wounded quality to him. But definitely more of a departure from that the machismo of Gay and Guido.
There's like this intense like heart sensitivity he has.
Yes.
And it's like she can feel it with her heart. And it's like anytime they're in a room together, I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Because it's almost the love that never happened. Like, because it's like a soul connection that's so deep. In the movie, it never happens in that typical way.
I feel like he gives her the love that she kind of wants, you know,
Yes,
because it's almost
I do
like a
too.
more platonic, like respectful sort of love, and the other
Exactly.
guys are like trying to get up in there or whatever.
And
you
he
know,
sees
and, like,
her and she sees him. And like, it really is. Yeah. It's like a soul connection.
Totally.
Right. So yeah, she just wants to be loved for who she is and not like, ogled and
Oogled and
possessed or
goggled.
whatever,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Dougled.
Roped and hog-tied. you know?
Totally.
And the story that he tells her, like when he's sitting on her lap outside.
Well, let's get to that when we
bar.
get there.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get that when we get there. Because okay, so after this scene, we go to the bar pre-rodeo, and this is where you really get a wake and fright moment where all the drunk men in the bar are hooting and hollering at her because she's got that like whatever
Paddle.
that paddle bong pong
Yeah.
thing, and she's doing that, and of course all the men are looking at her. Oh God, ooh, and it's very wake and fright there because they're drunk guys playing some wild bar game, and again more shots of her butt, as this is happening. And then one of the guys smacks it, and then of course Guido steps in, fights the cowboy that touched her. So we're getting that sort of masculine jealousy thing going on there. But then we get to the rodeo, man. And the rodeo is fucking, it's a major highlight for me because it's so anxiety ridden. And it's also like, I don't know, there's a lot of parallels for me with like professional wrestling in this moment where you have a guy like Purse who just is like, he's getting into these really horrifying head injury type situations, that like he should not be doing, and he's getting himself really fucked up, taking bump after bump. He's got blood coming out of his mouth in the second bump that he takes from the bull. Yeah. And, this obviously traumatizes, Rosalind as she sees this. Yeah. She first off is getting, very triggered by seeing the animals being strapped up in like this sort of rodeo gear to begin with. Yeah. But just seeing kind of Purse being really fucked up and he's got bad head injuries and that he's not, this is having diminishing.
The self-destruction.
The self-destruction is very, anxiety ridden. And so then we go to the bar after we get another kind of bar scene where, Purse is kind of a little bit on his high horse here where he starts antagonizing the other two guys.
I love this part.
Sort of calling them elderly in ways. And then Purse and Rosalind dance together, which is a nice little moment.
Well, and this kind of shows like this strange threesome, it's like they're all kind of attracted to her and there's this orbit around her. Yep. And they each of them are like kind of like reflecting their own dreams and hopes like within her. And the attention will shift in these moments. And then you see like Guido getting super resentful and having that male like resentful anger because he can't have her. And then, Gay is kind of like, well, what's this young buck doing? Yeah. But then there's something about Purse that's so natural and honest that like he senses their natural connection that he can kind of like sweep her up and
And this is one of those things that's reflected in Arthur Miller and Marilyn's relationship, right? Because she would have affairs with like people like Yves Montand and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
on the set, I think. Yeah.
She was having an affair on the set.
On the set with him, yeah. And so, but of course, Rémy, you were mentioning this is the great scene. We have a lot to get to, but great scene where he sort of lays in her lap, in the back patio of this bar, and this is where you see a real connection to them, where they share this affinity, mutual respect. It's like, he's not being as leeringly sexual and having the same intentions as the other guys, but there's a real connection there based on kinship and stuff.
Well, he's also telling a very vulnerable story.
And he does that too, right?
He's willing to be vulnerable about himself and his mother and the pain that he's went through. And obviously she's gone through intense pain with her mother and feeling abandoned. And he's expressing his sense of abandonment, that his father died. The mom gives away the ranch that he should own to his stepdad.
Right.
And the stepdad basically says, you can come and work for me for wages, which is like in this world, the biggest insult.
Yeah. But he also says, he also asks her, do you belong to gay? And she's like, I don't know where I belong. And then he kind of gives her this warning. He's like, they grind up women out here, is what he says.
Grind up like meat, like horse meat for dog food.
Right, exactly.
I don't like to see the way they grind up women out here.
But yes, beautiful scene, incredibly well acted between both of them. There's a real sense that you have watching it that there's like, these are two lost souls that have found each other kind of thing.
My favorite like love scene of all time. Like to me, that's like a true love scene. It's not like the kissing and all that bullshit. Like this is like true love to me. And it can happen in fleeting moments. Like
totally.
While
this is one of the great scenes in the film, it is followed by maybe my favorite moment in the movie, which is the come on, I want you to meet my kids drunk scene. Clark Gable's greatest moment on screen. Unbelievable. Wow. He's super wasted, comes in, incredible drunk acting here. I don't even care if you think it's over the top. It's so good. He comes in, he's shouting, come in and meet my kids. And then they go out in front of the bar and he's shouting for them. They're nowhere to be seen. He's totally crashing out. He's super humiliating. It's super pathetic. And then he takes a bump. He takes an incredible bump falling off the car hood. It's an amazing performance of just like how really tortured and pathetic this guy really is.
The sadness of that too. It's like he was fucked up his life, fucked up opportunities with his kids. Right. His kids hate him, don't want to be with it. Like, and the, now he's left this broken kind of like lost soul.
Yep, exactly. And it's amazing.
It's pretty heartbreaking.
Right.
We
finally learned like what he's missing out on, because everyone else, we've been sort of doled out slowly, like what, the
dead wife.
But also that he was like the traumas of war.
Yes.
For Guido's character.
Right.
And then, and then
they've all had these traumas.
No, 100%. And that's right. Cause then Guido's shit faced and drives them all back to the house. He's driving 90 and basically talking about how during war we had to kill people we never saw.
Dropping a bomb is like telling a lie. It makes everything so quiet. Pretty soon you don't hear anything, you don't see anything, not even your wife.
And this whole thing, again, more dreamlike and weird, as they're kind of speeding along back home. And then as they get home, it's just completely unraveling. Everybody's so
literally
blackout, wake and fright drunk. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So just his technique for like trying to get her to like go out with him is one of the more disturbing parts of the movie. I think he does it several times, right? Where he's like trying to almost like, he's like asking her, but trying to like bribe her
with the people, the nameless people that he's killed. Taking pity and
almost like you owe me. It's almost like he's saying like, I'll do this for you, but you owe me something. And she's like, fuck you.
It's bad. She calls it out too, of course.
And he's got that weird that seething anger that he can't have her.
Traumatized,
disturbing
man. Right.
So they come home. It's like total drunk, wake and fright, collapsing, blackout drunk. Perce has a great moment during that where he has no idea where the bandage on his head came from. He doesn't know what it is. And he starts taking it off, and that's when he kind of super something with him you can tell is not right in the head, and then he falls on the lumber. And this is
like everything is just like
falling off.
Everything is unraveling, and it's dark and it's strange, and then like for her that feeling, there's already that feeling of dislocation and alienation, but then for her being surrounded by these men who are just like completely falling and just disintegrating,
literally falling apart. And of course, what does she say in the movie? She says,
oh my God.
She says, help is what she says, basically out to the skies. Somebody help me. But
in the book, it says, she looks at the oblivious moon, a vast sadness stretching her body, a being lost, a woman whose life has forbidden her to forsake her loneliness. She cries out, but softly to the sky, help. Which I was like, when I read that, I was like, damn. Jesus. Like, it's this real, empty, terrifying desolation. Yes. And this feeling like no one is going to save us. There's no one out there,
So let's barrel into the final little sort of act of the film here. So after this scene, this is when they're going Mustanging, right? Because the whole point of meeting Perce and all this stuff is the three of them are going to go out and fucking capture some Mustangs. These sort of wild horses out there that they will, of course, then send off to get ground up into dog food. And there's a big moment where she realizes that this is what's going to happen. She didn't quite understand what Mustanging is.
No.
And now she's understanding that, we're just rounding up these wild horses and they're going to be sent to their deaths. And this
idea that in the past, that's not what happened. Like in the past, there was hundreds of horses, 500 horses. People would ride them. They'd work on the ranches and the farms and get, the kids would buy them for Christmas presents.
Kids ride motor scooters now.
Right. Yeah. That is a huge theme in this. Is just like the changing times.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now it's
I mean, that theme too, I feel like maybe, I don't know if we pressed it enough, but it's the idea of what's coming is the industrialization, the commercialization, all those things, which is now like seeing this vanishing America of the past, leaving these people behind in terms of feeling like what is the man's work to be done in this world that's kind of leaving them behind.
Right. Yeah. Good thing that's all behind us now.
Yeah.
Right. Because then now the kids are playing AI now. But this is kind of the idea. She basically has this big realization about what this is all about. And of course, this disturbs her to no end. And she's trying to get them to see, and eventually maybe they do see that their own self-delusions, and the things that they've sort of idealized in their own mind of their own concept of freedom is all bullshit.
And the frontier, like what this even means, like what does that mean? The frontier.
Yeah.
It is a dream. It's just an illusion.
Right.
And ultimately they're living in a state of desperation.
Totally.
Not sort of like freedom and adventure.
Right. Exactly.
Right. And some wild day for night in the sequence, by the way, or right before they go roping.
Evan said Evan was like, Marcus is going to say that.
The thing that Marcus is going to say is the day for night.
Yeah. I was shocked because it's like, I thought they were just saying on the day. And then he's like, look up at the stars. That's nighttime. And I was like, well, wait, this is supposed to be
you wouldn't have been able to get Marilyn out there at night.
We're not even going to go into what happened on this set, but there was a lot of fucking crazy stuff that happened on this set. I mean, she was ODing, literally.
Right.
She literally OD'd like twice.
It's a miracle they shot any of it, day for night or not. All right, let me get to this.
Houston's drunk every day, gambling, riding camels. And
it's a crazy set for further reading. Yeah. The capturing of the Mustang, actually probably the most technically impressive stuff that the film has is from a filmmaking point of view. These are very long sequences of doing that. It's pretty, it's pretty intense to watch. But of course,
remind me of Jaws, actually.
Sure,
with
Jaws.
the barrels and the tires and the three guys.
Totally. But of course, the metaphor there of her own dehumanization somewhat mirrors the animal experience. And she's trying to protect these animals that are being abused and exploited in the same sort of sense that she is. So here we go.
She's very connected to nature.
Yes.
Like she's kind of connected the purity of nature.
Yes.
She's anti-violence, anti-frontier, dominance and all that masculine shit. She's the feminine, natural sort of presence. Yeah.
So as they're doing this, she has a big moment where she screams and she's shouting at them, "Murderers! You're 3 dead men," and she's screaming at them about that. Side note, I guess Marilyn famously disliked that scene. I guess she thought that, she said, quote, I guess they thought I was too dumb to explain anything, so I have a screaming crazy fit. But, and even one of the characters, the reaction Guido has to it is, oh, she's crazy, this kind of misogynistic look at it, oh, she's just being crazy, this whole idea.
She's crazy.
They're all crazy.
But really, you know,
but she needed to scream. I feel like she needed to.
Totally. Right. She's getting to that point where the only thing left you can do is scream, pretty much.
And sorry, go Marcus. Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say I didn't really even understand the movie until this final scene, this scene, and and then you see the visual of what's happening, like because the three of them roping the horse mirrors their pursuit of her, right?
Totally.
You know, and
it's the idea of like the whole idea of what they consider to be freedom is about this
is a joke. Yeah, it's like ridiculous.
Well, he keeps on saying that I'm hunting these horses because that's the only way I can be free. Like it's the last symbol of like what that means to be a man, what that means in his mind to exert that sort of like masculine adventurism and dominance. Like, and even if it's just a symbol and it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Right. They've been preaching this wild freedom and living off of the land and stuff like that. But then they're like trying to capture and contain this wild horse.
Yes.
And then send it off to slaughter.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like how they don't respect her as a person.
Yeah.
You know? They want to capture her and not let her be this wild, free.
Because like women don't really have a place in this world.
No,
like in that fantasy of the masculine frontier, women only have a very specific. They don't tell the men what to do. That's why like Gay always, once she starts to get a little big for her britches, he's like, no one tells me what to do. Don't run the show.
Yeah, and what happens?
Puts her in her place.
What happens is after Purse is sort of there and kind of joins her rebellion against them. As helps to free the horses that they've already tied up. But then, of course, what does Gay do? He fucking chases down one of the runaway horses and decides to fucking cinch that thing up himself, like without the help of the truck or any of the gimmicks or anything, and kind of trying to prove to them his ultimate freedom because nobody's going to tell me what to do. Yeah. And of course, but he does ultimately set the horse free. So how do you read that? Like that.
That's the growth. That's the character. I guess that's what we want from a movie is someone to have some growth and change over time. And I think she has finally imparted her message to them. It finally kind of sunk in. Also, he's kind of like at the end of he's realizing he's at the end of the cowboying life too.
Right.
Yeah.
Times are changed, and he used to rope, a 1,500 head of cattle, whatever it was. Yeah. And now he's got down to 5, and he's going to make $1,000 to split between them, or $100 or whatever.
Yeah, it's like some horse and that. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And it's interesting.
He's kind of admitted that the time, it's time for him to move on to something else anyway.
Yeah. And like Guido is sort of used as someone who's stuck back in the past, where
he's stuck.
He's like, catch your breath, and we'll get them all back tomorrow, even though he's bleeding profusely. Yeah. And all that stuff. And
Purse is so in touch with like her humanity and his own humanity. Like deep down, he knows this isn't right. Like he knows like this is folly,
Yeah.
And it's funny, like in the book, there's a moment when Gay and the horse like look each other in the eye.
Yeah.
And it says like, that's the moment they had this affinity where the horse said almost to him, like, you won this moment, you won this time. And then once he saw that, he let him go. It was like, he just needed that feeling inside that like, I still have this.
I still got it.
Of me. I still have this fire, this energy. Right. I haven't lost it. Wow. But then you're right, Marcus. Like she gave him that reflection of humanity, and that did change all of them ultimately.
Yep.
Because as much as they were looking for this like satisfaction through like dominance and what the identity of being a man was, ultimately they were forgetting that it really is about humanity and human connection. That's all we ever have. And that's what Arthur Miller talks about. Like one quote, he says, this film is really about the choice between illusion and reality. What has happened in this country is that people cling to the illusion of a frontier, but the only real territory left is relationships to other people. There really never was any other territory. But that's what we're just finding out now.
Right,
wow.
Right.
Yeah.
There's another quote from him talking about how, what he was after and what he's trying to get out of the film was that the displacement in life of commitment from people to people or people to an ideal, that those that are just gone.
Wow.
All that's left is just one moment to moment in reality.
Right.
Wow.
Right. Because there is all this, you talk about the encroachment in this movie of like civilization, the encroachment coming against you, and they're struggling instead of letting go and realizing like, this is just a moment to moment experience.
All right. Nice, guys. Nice.
Woo!
We did that. That was a nice little finish there.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
There's definitely further reading. There's
further reading. It is one of those like, monster BTS Baby Got Back story, as we call them, films where just so much craziness on set. And of course, when just with that, all that stuff. But yeah, there's great articles. Raym, do you want to shout out there's the Life magazine?
There's an Esquire article from 1961 that's great. One. We can put there's a book called The Making of the Misfits by James Good, which is incredible, and I can't find my copy, but it's all the people on set.
Wow.
Telling stories, all the quotes from everyone compiled, and then we didn't mention in the episode, but like the Magnum photography aspect of it.
Can you mention that for further reading? Because I will link that, of course.
Yeah, and so like I wanted to say that there's so much to talk about, but like what was so incredible is like Arthur Miller and the producer orchestrated getting like every beautiful,
major
top-notch photographer, Eve Arnold, all these incredible people to be on set the entire time, capturing the most gorgeous photography, the most intimate sort of like incredible photos of Marilyn that have ever been captured. And the whole story of them existing together, all together on set, is a whole nother episode of just like, we could go off an hour of just like how they all interacted with each other. I mean, she OD'd the night before shooting. Then she had to go, they had to postpone. And then she was on and off. Then she had to fly to LA because she was in the hospital again on pills and having a breakdown psychological.
All right, we're cheating.
Oh.
Okay. So there's more there.
There's more. There's the behind the scenes if we want to. Yes. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. All right. No, it's all good. All right. So there you go, everybody. One fucking hour on the Misfits. A lot more there, it sounds like, on the table. But all right. We appreciate it, guys. That was great. Awesome stuff. I guess we should talk about, let's just get into it. We tease it at the top of the hour here, just about what we're doing next week. So let's get into it. So we'll be going into 1962 territory, and I feel like let me just pull this up here. We couldn't settle on one, so we said, fuck it, let's do a poll, and I'm going to give you the poll options. So now, how are we going to do the poll now? Okay. Everyone complains about Instagram. I wanted to find something that was equally fair.
Oh, nice.
Right.
Something that was fair. Something that would be accessible to everyone, because if you don't have Instagram, but also there's no cheating, it can all still work in a clean sort of way. I need that cleanliness. So if you are listening to this podcast, YouTube video, whatever, watching it, in the first 24 hours of it going live to the public, okay, now, Patreon and, YouTube members, you're watching this before it goes public, so on the day of launch, if you're watching this in the first 24 hours, I want you to go to YouTube, our YouTube channel, and I'm going to link it in the description of all the podcast apps that you're listening to this and on YouTube right now. We're doing the polls on YouTube now. So there'll be a YouTube post link that is in the description of this video. Click that right now, and you will see the 4 poll options that you can select from to vote on for what film we're going to be covering for 1962. So, all right. So let me bring those up. Okay, here we go. I got them. All right. So option number 1. This is a big one. This is another literary big title here for 1962, and of course a director we've covered a lot on the channel. We're talking about Stanley Kubrick's Lolita. Is option number 1.
Whoa.
That's a big one for you, right?
That's almost too big. It's almost too big that I'm like, we shouldn't do it because it's too much.
Too much prep for you, probably, huh?
Yeah, too much pressure.
Okay, too much prep and pressure.
I love that book and movie like beyond.
Okay, all right. So
it's a long book too, right?
It's not too long. No,
no, that one isn't long. No.
It's incredible.
Yeah,
great reread if you haven't read it in a while. It's fucking amazing.
Okay, so Lolita will be option number 1. Option number 2, this is kind of a little throwback a little bit to our Sudden Fear episode, which we did for 54, whatever that was. I think it might have been. Or 52, I think that was, Sudden Fear. We're talking Whatever Happened to Baby Jane as being option number 2. That would be fun to go to town on. That would be fun. That'd be fun. So that's option number 2. Of course, Betty Davis, Joan Crawford. And option number 3, oh my God. This is, because I think, Marcus, you were a little sad about, what was it? Was it 1960, right? Where we did the poll. Was it? No,
right.
No, sorry, 1959 we did the poll. And Vertigo beat 400 Blows because I know you wanted to get in a little Truffaut action.
A little French action.
French action. So here's your chance, everybody. Perk up. Option number 3 is going to be another chance at Francois Truffaut for Jules and Jim. Will be the sort of French New Wave, seminal French New Wave flick. Will be option number 3. And option number 4, this could be also great too. Carnival of Souls.
Love it.
Yes.
Carnival of Poles.
Carnival of Poles. I'm sure the Jar of David might get activated on that episode a little bit.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe. Lolita too, I'm sure. Okay, so there you have it. There's your Carnival of Poles. So get over to that link in the YouTube, the YouTube link in our description, and vote. And we'll see after 24 hours who wins and what happens and what we'll do. And of course, we'll announce it.
This is a big year. There's a lot.
Yeah.
This is a crazy year.
Yeah. It's
going to start to be like this from here on out, where you're like,
it's going to get nuts.
God.
It's going to get nuts. It's going to get nuts. It's going to get nuts. But so do that. And of course, again, the offer still stands. If you'd like to send fan mail, get well cards, or anything you'd like to get over to Tom Fitzgerald, definitely send it to my post office box. Again, this is not my address, guys. Okay, so don't think you're showing
don't
up.
expect you're knocking on the door.
Don't think you're going to coming over here and partying with us and hanging out with us. This is a post office box, okay?
Post office.
Yeah. So again, the address on your screen, or jot it down. Get a pen ready. Here we go. It is right to me, Evan Husney, and it's 697 Grand Street, Box 166, Brooklyn, New York 11211. Thank you guys so much for anyone who will participate in that. I'm sure you guys are going to come up with some awesome shit. I think anything 1 fucking hour themed, anything that's going to reference titles of old will be great. Will be awesome for him. So we appreciate that, guys. All right, I think it's time to get the fuck out of here. And we'll see you guys for 1962. Of course, we can't leave you without your Moment of Zen. Your Toman of Zen. Your Toman of Zen. And we'll see you next week. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your week. So long. See you later. Bye-bye. Say bye.
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 Bye. See ya.
We'll see you again.
Motherfucking goddamn orange peel beef.
That was wicked, man.